Amazing. Wow. Wow. So let's give a hand to the Second Line Social Aid and Pleasure Society Brass Band. How about that? So good evening. And happy anniversary, Massachusetts. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Tonight marks 7 wonderful, historic, and hard-won years of equal marriage in Massachusetts. It is also, coincidentally, the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia, which we think is a fitting coincidence. We didn't plan it, but I like it. I know there are a lot of places that you could be right now. It is event season after all, and on behalf of the individuals and families that MassEquality serves, I appreciate you choosing to be here with us tonight. I want to acknowledge some of the elected officials that we have in the room. We have with us State Representative Alice Wolf, our honorary lesbian, Representative Alice Wolf. Cambridge City Councilors Denise Simmons and Ken Reeves. We also have with us staff from Representative Tom Santacandro's office. And to the electeds in particular, and if I missed anyone, it's because I didn't see you and we are thrilled that you're here. To the electeds in particular, I wanted to say that your commitment to a better Commonwealth is critical to MassEquality's work of advancing equal rights and opportunities for all lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people from cradle to grave. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for celebrating with us tonight. I also want to thank those who made tonight possible, our sponsors, Club Oberon and the American Repertory Theater, Upstairs on the Square, and Kick-Ass Cupcakes. I especially thank Kick-Ass Cupcakes because I don't know if I could ever say kick-ass in public in any other context. Our host committee members who did a phenomenal job putting this event together. If you're a host committee member, please raise your hand. Let us applaud you. And of course, I want to thank the boards and staff of MassEquality who spend their days making sure that nights like tonight are possible. Friends, we are gathered here tonight to celebrate. 7 years ago this evening, right here in Cambridge, same-sex couples were finally allowed to take intentions. Something many of us didn't know what it meant until we were allowed to do it, right? beginning the process of achieving legal and cultural recognition of their love and commitment for one another. Some of these couples had already been doing the work of marriage for decades. Some had lived through the worst decades of our government's oppression and even violence against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. Some thought, many of us thought, they would never see marriage equality in their lifetime. But they did, and let the record reflect that they saw it here first. So I don't have to tell any of you in this room that equal marriage in Massachusetts was hard won. Amidst an unrelenting wave of successful anti-ballot measures that swept the country in 2004, 2005, 2006, opposition by the religious right, the Catholic Church, the Romney administration. Yes, unclear which of those was the worst, right? We convinced a supermajority, 151 of 200 state lawmakers, to vote for equality and oppose a majority vote on a minority's rights. It was remarkable. No similar fight had ever been won by an LGBT group anywhere in our country, ever. It transformed our Commonwealth, and it set in motion a chain of events that have transformed our country. Tonight we celebrate, in the simplest terms, the triumph of love over hate, the triumph of pride over prejudice. It is that simple. So it took a few people to make this victory possible. People who dared to dream about marrying in their lifetimes, couples who had the courage to tell their stories and put their face on the issue, activists and allies who had the fortitude to fight year after year, some leaving their jobs to join the fight full-time, volunteer, so that all of us would be a little bit better understood by the public at large and a whole lot more free. Tonight it is my honor to introduce to you two of these couples. Beginning at 12:01 a.m. on May 17th, the city of Cambridge opened wide its doors and welcomed 263 couples to apply for licenses to marry, along with 10,000 people cheering them on. Many folks gathered on the City Hall steps in the afternoon and evening on May 16th, marking the special day with celebrations, flowers, hugs, high fives, and even lavish picnics. It had to have been the lesbians having picnics. All were elated, ecstatic, and giddy with excitement. But among you that evening and through the early morning of May 17th, some very tired women who had spent the night of May 16th on the City Hall steps were there. Yes, in true blue lesbianic fashion, they plopped beach chairs on the front stoop at 12:01 a.m. on May 16th and waited patiently. They waited for dawn to break and for the crowds to gather. They became Cambridge couples number 1 and 2. The photo of couple number 1 exiting Cambridge City Hall is an iconic image that appeared in over 2,300 newspapers around the world. So please welcome to the 7 years of marriage stage, from the beautiful city of Cambridge, couple number 1 and couple number 2, Marcia Hams and Susan Shepard, Jade McLaughlin and Sue Hyde. That's right. That's right. How about some beach chairs?
Where are the beach chairs? We should have it.
I want to thank Marcia and Sue especially for their dedication to equality for all and for their service on the MassEquality Education Fund Board of Directors, of which Sue Hyde is our illustrious chair, and Marcia Hams is our trusty clerk.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Club Oberon. So I'm Sue Hyde, and I am one half of couple number 2. I can't know, does that make me 1/4? Math was never my strong suit. I would like to welcome State Representative and Cambridge City Councilor Tim Toomey. Thanks for being here, Tim. State Rep Toomey voted 9 times against the constitutional amendments that would have banned our marriage equality. Thank you, Tim. So I'm going to invite the other half of couple number 2, perhaps the other 1/4, my girlfriend and wife, Jade McLaughlin, to share some thoughts about that special night. Sweetheart?
So my girlfriend and I got married secretly on the sly one Friday afternoon because I had an unexpected cancellation. It was a bit more complicated, I suppose, but the details are true. We, like many of us, got our license in the spirit of the wild victory gay marriage represented in Massachusetts, particularly because our beloved city of Cambridge opened the City Hall doors at midnight, making its queer citizens the very first in the United States to obtain legal licenses. The marriage was a bit of an afterthought. As the weeks and months passed, my girlfriend and I learned that several other couples we know had, in a sense, sneaked off to get hitched. Progressive, leftist, feminist queers marrying in secret. Most of them were also lesbian parents, and most from time to time had joined progressive and feminist marriage critics who rightly identified the institution as one that had historically oppressed us. Had they, as we had, suffered some embarrassment and shame about getting married into the culture and political warp of the institution previously forbidden to us as homosexuals and condemned by us as progressives and feminists? None of us want the state mediating our relationships. All of us understand traditional family rhetoric as a fundamental and powerful instrument of right-wing social policy. And we all, I wasn't meaning this as humor, but okay. And we all want to continue to ask what the state is managing, regulating, privileging with its pro-marriage policies. We remain committed to a progressive vision of what it means to live a queer life. Having learned a potent critique of marriage, marrying can feel like abandoning one's identity as both a sexual outlaw and as part of a community that's in resistance to normal. Yet it's hard to describe the ecstasy of the celebration that was May 17, 2004. The huge party, which was us, partied till the wee hours with wild spirit and glee until the last of us left City Hall. The very feeling of liberation and freedom that May 17th represented, that group ecstatic experience that many of us experienced there, has a certain irony. There is something about the rapture being bought by becoming members of the very institution that gay liberation promised to liberate us from. The 3 M's, marriage, mortgage, and multiplying. And yet there was a feeling on May 17th, a palpable feeling that a certain pain in exclusion had been righted. And had been righted not just because of a legal decision, but because of decades of movement building and organizing meant the ground for excluding us from participation as full citizens could no longer be justified. The night of May 17th reminded me of the political high that was present when, after the Hardwick decision, we participated in massive civil disobedience at the Supreme Court in 1987 during the March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. We were fighting for our right to live as fully queer, and we were proud. At that time, we thought, as Margaret Cirillo said, a weekend like this reveals our secret longings. It reveals them even to us. It reveals our alienation, our yearning for what never was, a moment in which gay people are not only accepted or tolerated, but normative, in which we are the definers of the streets and the bedrooms, where our lives aren't split into day and night life. These moments of release, the '87 March, May 17th, reveal to us the power of the dominant culture we try to leave behind, the repressions and self-denials we live with every day. Could these revelations be the radical edge of what underpins a gay marriage movement? This set of longings to belong, to be included in a society that is organized in important ways by one's place in those most primary institutions of social reproduction, marriage and family. They are powerful and perhaps are the longings and desires that underpin our movements. Many people, especially not those previously part of social change movement, experienced a kind of political transformation as they sought the legal recognition of marriage. What of those longings? While this sometimes gets argued in the language of rights, it's our right to be married, and recognition, see, our relationships are like everybody else's. Those are also covers for a deeper set of longings. Longings to be seen as good, as whole, as valuable, as full citizens. Longings to feel that cosmic connectedness across generations and across cultures. Longings to have a place of meaning in the world in which we live, and that, more importantly, will outlast our lives. The underbelly of those longings is the way we remain deeply psychologically tied to public affirmation of our identities, even when we are queer. The psychic reproduction of desire, certain desires, must be part of our thinking and be accounted for in our political strategies. We do not want to be the good gays cast against the ever more marginalized group that chooses or has no choice other ways to live and love. And yet marriage can do that. It brings some of us into a kind of legitimacy and allies us with a social hierarchy we rebel against. But I don't think these are just conservative times. I don't think we are just growing older, more privileged, or more concerned with inheritance rights rather than radical transformation. A pro-marriage movement carries some other hope. Conventionally, the wish to belong, to be accepted, to be seen as legitimate, but more radically, the wish for a transformed relation to the society we live in. And if we live as queer married people, does that not lessen the strictures on mandatory heterosexuality, on gender binaries? Doesn't it transform marriage? Can we be married in another queer way? Can queer marriage disrupt? We work towards transforming both the institution of marriage and, in so doing, the society in which we live. I think we're doing okay, eh? Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, we're in Cambridge, right? We celebrate and we cogitate. Please welcome one half of couple number one, Susan Shepard.
Hi, I'm a little shorter. No, I don't want the box. Thank you. And I can barely see you. About an hour or so ago, my wife called me, and she says, "Did you mind saying a few things about how it felt to be couple number one?" So this is how it rolls, marriage. And I says, "Yes, honey, of course I would." So it's great to think about this again. Every time I see these pictures, of course, we think about it again, and we tell the story over and over again until we drive everybody crazy. But it was an incredible privilege to be couple number one. And we didn't mind doing it at all. Thanks. Thanks for the opportunity. And it was wicked awesome, is what it was. And all the things that Jade said are really, really true. And I have to probably tell the same story in a little different way. Before we became couple number one, we were just Susan and Marcia. And we had been together for quite a long time. I met Marcia when I was just a kid. I was 24. Seems like just a kid now, doesn't it? And we were doing other political work together. We were not concerned with being gay, shall we say, and our rights. We were involved in labor struggles. We were involved in women's rights. We met in a factory. We were both machinists at the time. So we were like into being the butch thing, you know. We had that going. But we didn't long for being married. And this is something that the press kept saying to you. You've been waiting to be married? Yeah, no. No, we're just like living, you know. We forgot about you guys a long time ago. No. And I never thought of us as particularly brave, be honest with you. We were just like, you know, living, as I say. But I look back, and recently we were in San Francisco, and we were at the Harvey Milk Memorial there, and we had, of course, seen the movie. And I think Harvey was killed in 1978, which was 2 years after we met. And at that very same time, we were talking about having a child. And I think back to that and the kind of hatred that was pervading the country at that point. And what were we thinking about? You know, but, you know, we were living our lives. And people say, well, why did you have a kid? And I said, well, all my friends had kids. We wanted one too. And that's the way it went. And it was one step after another like that. And I think so we probably had a little more optimism, blind optimism, I'm sure. And people we lost over the years. I've lost family to AIDS. And we don't forget them either when we're partying like this, for sure. But what has marriage meant? I was surprised at what marriage meant, actually. And, oh, I meant to tell this story that we had been talking about not getting married, just as Jade was saying, after the court decision came down. I said, oh, well, who wants to get married? We didn't know anything about it, frankly. So we watched some movies, and we interviewed our straight friends and asked them, why did you get married? And it's very interesting. I should write that paper about what the men said and what the women said and how different that was. But so then they decided, the big they, were trying to take this away from us. So we said, okay, now we have to do it. There was no doubt in our minds. And our son came to us and he says, oh, what's you two 60 chicks going to do now, this, you know, paternalistic institution of marriage? You're going to jump right in? So I says, well, Pete, the FU position has changed, pal. And we went with it. But surprisingly enough, that's probably how we started out. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, you know, she's calling me wife. And, you know, that's a little bit in your face, too. You know what I mean? She goes to her cohort, you know, her friends at work and says, my wife this. And I'm like, okay. So we have to keep up that little thing that we do because we're queer and want to stay there a little bit. But it was surprising how liberating it was. I can't tell you that nobody was more surprised than I have been at how I thought I was being myself before, and now I'm really being myself, so you better be careful out there. So, but, you know, happy anniversary, everybody. Thanks.